Hi there, I'm Angela Sharp. You already know you're watching STL TV, where you get to experience St. Louis. How about experiencing Shakespeare Soccer outside in the street? I have Adam Flores with the St. Louis Shakespeare Festival.
Hello.
And Ben Hockman, playwright, today with us. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, first, Ben, we got to start. I think everybody knows you as the St. Louis Post-Dispatch sports writer, but you wrote a play trying to be Shakespeare about soccer. How did this happen?
Yeah, so in 1998, I was a senior in high school at Clayton High School. Shout out to the Greyhounds. And I wrote a play about baseball. And 25 years later, Adam was looking for a playwright to write a play about soccer. He knew the great Ellie Schweddy here in the theater community, and they were talking, and what did she say basically? Like, I know a guy?
Yeah, she was like, Ben Hogman is the sports columnist for the Post-Dispatch, and I bet he'd write a play for you. And so I was like, all right, let me hit him up and see if he wants to write a play for us. And Ben has been a great partner to work with on the project and is a natural at understanding maybe not as well as Shakespeare, but very well what a St. Louis audience wants for sure. And Shakespeare loved writing specifically for his audience, and Ben is doing that too.
That is perfect, but you know a lot about sports. Were you already into Shakespeare?
Oh, no, not really. No. I mean, occasionally if I'm trying to impress people, I'll be like, oh, as Shakespeare said, and then hope that they will then say the line. No, I don't know much about Shakespeare. I'm more of a Christopher Marlowe guy, really. But the reality is that whether I'm covering a sport I'm not familiar with or an athlete I've never interviewed before, I want to become an instant expert on the topic. And I jumped in and learned a lot about playwriting and Shakespeare in a short period of time.
I love that. Now, we know the St. Louis Shakespeare Festival kind of covers a lot of ground.
Yeah.
So you've got Shakespeare in the Park,
Yep.
and this is what you're calling Shakespeare in the Streets.
That's correct. It's one of our kind of three main programs. Shakespeare in the Park is our big free Forest Park show in June that everyone knows and loves and comes out to and is the start of summer here in St. Louis. And then we also have another program that is a touring production that goes to 24 different parks all over the region and does a smaller version that goes through the month of August. We just did Merry Wives of Windsor this year. And then our Shakespeare in the Streets program is our kind of third flagship program that goes to a different community every year. And we spend 12 to 18 months interviewing people, meeting people in that community and engaging with them, and then handing all of that information and all those stories over to a playwright to sort of coalesce it all into a play that we then perform in that community, with that community, somewhere in the streets to kind of make it happen in that community. We usually have been doing this in neighborhoods and geographic locations. We started off on Cherokee Street. Last year we were in the Beeville Mill. The year before that we were in the Ville. But this is our first time going to a community that we're calling an affinity community, not a geographic community, but a community that's been brought together by a general affinity for something, this one being soccer. And so it made sense to then reach out to someone who was a part of that affinity community as a sports columnist, as someone who knew the people, to bring them in, because you got to have those community members to help tell that story.
Well, you knew soccer was coming to St. Louis when you planned this, but you didn't know it was going to quite take the hold that it did.
Well,
you were just betting on that?
Well, if I did, I would have a lot more bets in the sports book right now if I had any idea that this was going to go as well as it did. But no, we knew that the team was coming, and Allie McGee, our marketing and communications manager, was like, I think this is going to be a thing. You know, she's from St. Louis, played CYC soccer, you know, been around, and was like, I think this is going to be a big thing. And I was like, great, you know. It took me a while to be convinced, but I was like, sure, let's try this thing. And no idea. You know, I also didn't know that, like, at this point, not only would I be interested in soccer, but would I have been to as many soccer games and, you know, from, you know, CYC all the way up to the national team. You just never know how engrossed you get into a community. And the whole city is doing it right now, which is incredible.
Right, so let's talk about where this is going to be, because I think where you're actually holding this is going to really have a pull, especially for those big soccer lovers.
No question about it. On the corner of 22nd and Olive, right there by City Park. It's free. Bring your friends, bring your family. It's going to be awesome. The 14th at 8 p.m., the 15th at 8 p.m., and the 16th at 6 p.m. So afterwards, everyone go and watch the City game on TV or Apple TV. But yeah, I'm so excited about people coming to downtown St. Louis to hang out and watch this play that tells the story of soccer in St. Louis.
And they already have that stage up, so they're ready for you guys to come and put on this Shakespeare soccer
and the thing that's going to be great is that new beautiful stadium that has been such an anchor to the downtown right now, that like is becoming the heart of that area, is our backdrop. That you will be sitting in a street, not just staring at an alley, but you will see the stadium behind you as the backdrop as the actors perform. So you'll feel like connected to the larger experience that's happening, even if you haven't been into City Park yet.
Right now, let's you merge two things together. So let's say I love Shakespeare, but I don't know much about soccer, or vice versa. Maybe I love soccer, but Shakespeare is not my thing. Is there going to be something in this for me as well?
For sure. I mean, I think that for our Shakespeare lovers, there is a lot of the language is still there. Now, they're going to talk mostly in prose and contemporary language, but there is moments of language. There's going to be nods to characters from the Henriade, which is what we're working with, which is actually 3 Shakespeare plays that we're kind of bringing together. Henry IV, Part 1, Henry IV, Part 2, and Henry V, and you're gonna be like, oh, that's that speech from, but they're saying soccer instead of this, right? And the language has changed ever so slightly, and you'll see characters that you love, like Prince Hal and Falstaff are characters in the thing. But in the same way, if you're a soccer player, you're gonna be hearing names that you recognize. You're gonna hear the voice of Bill McDermott, coming through the thing, and you're also gonna hear history, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit about soccer. But even if you knew everything, even if you're, Dave Lang, who wrote the book on soccer in St. Louis, I still think you're going to feel celebratory about what this moment is for us as a city. And you'll learn a little bit here and there about both sides, and it all comes together in a way that we hope is really successful.
And you guys have made it free for the general public just to come on out and have a good time. I guess we should talk about logistics of that. Sure. So if I'm coming out with my family or whatever, just kind of find a good place to park.
Yeah, I think that you want to bring, probably want to bring some chairs, and maybe a little cooler with, your favorite drinks and snacks and whatnot. That's like totally game. And then you're going to want to find a spot somewhere downtown to park. There's plenty of street parking. Schlafly has a lot there. There's other lots that you have different levels of access to. And there's free parking, but you want to find a spot that's kind of on the northeast side of the stadium in that part of town, by where the stage is. And then just, walk on down and then put up your chair in the spot that feels best for you and enjoy the show. It's going to be no longer than 90 minutes. So you'll be in, you'll out, you'll be back to your car. Won't even have to pay for the full 2 hours of meter time, and you'll be good to go. So yeah, come out and it's totally family friendly. We say best enjoyed by 12 and up, just because of sort of like the level of intricacies of language and the topics and whatnot.
Though some people say I write for 11 and lower.
Yes.
Not in this case. Not in this case. You got a little Shakespeare in there.
Yeah.
When you were kind of throwing yourself into this and learning everything you could about Shakespeare, was there anything that jumped out at you? You're like, I definitely need to have that in here?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, the St. Crispin's Day speech, and Adam turned me on to this. This speech, it gave us the phrase, the band of brothers that we all know about. It was, and you say it well, the first ever locker room speech. You've got the general speaking to his soldiers, getting them pumped up for the big battle that maybe they're going to be overmatched in. But man, what pride they'll take being in the battle. And what is it, Adam? In years to come, people will say, oh, I wish I could have been part of that battle. That's how big this is going to be. Well, we turn that into a soccer speech, and I'm fired up about that.
I can tell. You got real fired up about that. And I know you're also fired up about maybe some soccer stars, if you will, some names people might know popping by.
For sure. I mean, I think that, every night we're going to have different groups of people coming in to represent the soccer community from all different levels and all different things. And you're going to hear names of people that are household names for the diehard soccer fans, but then you're also going to hear names of people that we met along the way that we really found inspiring. And then you're also going to see representation of them on stage. And you're going to get, some people that are really acolytes and stars in the soccer community here in town that'll come by and be a part of it.
And there's going to be music, and there's going to be some extra soccer things that I probably shouldn't say here, but just know there's cool things coming.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Part of me was like, should I write myself a line in so I can be part of it?
I was going to say, you didn't want to make a cameo for
I
yourself.
thought about it, but I was like, no, I want to watch this thing. I want to experience it just like everybody else in St. Louis.
That is pretty awesome. And, we're running out of time, but you had told me about something right before we came out here. In your past show, you try to make those community experiences really interesting. So you had a ferry take people. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Just real quick, in 2019, we actually were working with 2 geographic communities. We were working with the 24-1, which is basically the Normandy School District on the north side, and then a small rural community, Brussels, Illinois, Calhoun County, which sits in the convergence of the Mississippi and the Illinois River up north, and 2 very different communities. Right. And so we worked with both of those communities and both of the high schools in those areas to put together a play. And so the play began on the corner of Page and Ferguson in the 24-1, and people watched the first half of the play, and then we loaded them all into buses, drove them up, put them on a ferry, got them off the ferry. They watched the second half of the play. And, you know, we don't have ferries in this one, but it's that same kind of experience of I'm in this community, I'm a part of it, and that's what we want these events to be.
I think this photo of the ferry and the people coming off with their chairs on their back is so cool and kind of shows how immersed you are in the community that you chose. And in this one, you guys chose soccer.
Yeah, and you want to be a part of the audience photo in front of the soccer stadium this year. You know what I mean?
Right.
You want to be like, oh, that's me. I was there when I saw this thing. Just like those people get to be proud that they were on that ferry ride and get to do it. You want to be down at the stadium and enjoy the play that we're doing.
I love it. You think maybe you'll have Ben write another play down the line?
Oh, no. No.
That's the only time. The only time. So you have to go now so you can see it.
Yep, this is it. This is a one-time shot. Well, I think, what do you say about, 1999 was the last time?
So yeah, it was 98. So every quarter century I write a play.
So we'll get back together in 25 years.
In 25 years. Yeah. Well, let's tell everybody where they can see this one so they can see the first time, second time Ben is the playwright.
Yeah, the 14th, 15th, and 16th on Thursday and Friday night. The show is at 8 p.m. On Saturday, the show's moved up to 6 p.m. so that we can all make sure we can watch the City away game that night and enjoy all of that process. Free, easy to do.
Olive, 22nd.
Yep, it is the corner.
And you can go to stlshakes.org for all other information about the other Shakespeare festivals in the park, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. This is a lot of fun.
Great.
I'm definitely going to have to check out Ben's playwright ability and your directing ability too. So, because we talked a lot about him being the playwright, but you are directing this.
Yeah, for sure.
only the second time.
Yeah. I've been producing this program
yeah.
for 4 years, but this is the second time directing it, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
It sounds like it's going to be a great time. Definitely pick a day and go find them. And of course, don't forget to follow us on all our social media channels right there on your screen. You can always drop us a line at the email as well. That's going to do it for this right here. I'm Angela Sharp, the keeper right here on STL TV and Experience St. Louis. Easy peasy.
Great.